Ukrainian intelligence has confirmed that two Nigerian nationals identified as 42-year-old Hamzat Kasim Kolawole and 38-year-old Mba Stephen Udoka were killed by a drone strike while serving in the Russian armed forces during the ongoing war in Ukraine. Now, their bodies were found in the Luhansk region after a drone strike in late November 2025. Both men were formerly serving in the 423rd Guards Motor Rifle Regiment of the 4th Guards of Kante-Mirovskaya Tank Division under the Russian army at the time of their deaths. Now, Ukrainian intelligence says Udoka received minimal training and he was reportedly deployed just 5 days after signing his contract, with little to no formal preparation for combat. Kolawale's training records are still unclear, although reports do suggest that he also likely had minimal training as well. Now, Ukraine's main intelligence directorate has released statements warning foreign nationals against traveling to Russia for work. They say that such appointments may lead to recruitment into the front lines, high-risk units, and potential death.
Across Nigeria, young men are reportedly being lured with promises of dollar salaries, visas, and an escape from economic hardship. A CNN investigation shows that for many, those offers have led not to opportunity, but to the front lines of the war in Ukraine. You recruited through social media and private messages. Several Africans say they were promised civilian jobs only to be forced into military service, stripped of their passports, and pushed towards combat with little or no training. As pressure mounts on young Nigerians, it's leading to urgent questions about whether this country's youth are being quietly funneled into a foreign war, while the country barely talks about it. For more on this, I'm joined now on the line from London by the director of Connect Hub NG, Rinu Oduala. She's a civic leader and a youth advocate who's been sounding the alarm about the quiet recruitment of Nigerian youths into the war in Ukraine. Thank you very much indeed, Rinu, for joining us. You've been writing urgently about young Nigerians being lured into the Russia-Ukraine war. Tell us more about this issue and what convinced you that this was no longer a distant foreign issue, but a Nigerian problem.
Over the past year, if you read the news, if you do like some research on youth recruitment, scholarships, and all of that, we have seen like a quiet and growing patterns where young Nigerians, and not just Nigerians, Ghanaians, South Africans, Kenyans, people in other countries, Zambia, Zimbabwe, they're being approached by agents through job offers. They will offer them like jobs, for example, work in Europe and get £7,000 per month. You know, it could be study opportunities, study in Europe, and you could get free scholarships, free flight, free accommodation in your school, and travel promises that often sound like legitimate on the surface. They're like security roles, sometimes it's factory work, sometimes it's technical training, sometimes they're even promised like pathways to citizenship. But then what many people who have gone through these offers and have accepted them discovered that when they arrive, these civilian jobs or the scholarships never exist. They are often pressured and forced into military contracts that they do not understand, without lawyers, without translation, and with very little choice, because then they've left Nigeria or they've left the African country and they've gotten there. And then families in Africa start to get like frantic calls. Mothers cannot locate their sons. People are disappearing into war zones thousands of kilometers away, fighting a war that they did not intend to join. And just like you said, with the CNN reporting and other reporting that in Reuters, Bloomberg, African men are now being sent to the front line with minimal training. They are facing racism. Some of them are not being paid their wages, and they are dying at the front lines of the war.
Right.
Some of them are even being told that no, you're not going to join the military. But many of them are now saying that that's not simply true. And for Nigeria, that matters because we have this huge youth population that is navigating unemployment, insecurity, and economic pressure at home.
Well, I'm gonna come to that issue because that's a very important issue you raised there about unemployment. But in terms of the people who have gone there, what do we know about the survival rate? Because we understand that some Nigerians have actually been killed in Ukraine.
What we know about the survival rate is tricky, because then we have to wait for these people to report. Many of the people who go there never tell anybody. They just tell them. Again, it's a tricky thing because they are being lured. We don't have precise numbers, and that uncertainty is part of the problem, because many of these recruits are not even officially documented as foreign fighters. Just like I said, they arrive on like work visas or student visas, and then they are absorbed into the military unit quietly. And when they are injured or killed, the families often find out late or even not at all. CNN has done a great work, and if you watch the video that Larry Madowo recently released yesterday, you will see that most of these Africans that are being deployed, they are often deployed in high-risk zones, and they are used like as expendable manpower. They are sent into like drone-heavy zones where the casualty rates are extremely high. There are documented cases of Africans being killed by drones, being killed by military artillery within weeks of being deployment. Many others have gone missing entirely. Their families back home will receive no official communication. There are no clear death certificates. There's no, what do we call it, repatriation of bodies. It's just silence, or maybe fellow recruits, sends a message to them. So this tells us two things: that the survival rate is far lower than what we know. And then often, sometimes survival does not even mean safety, because those who make it back home are carrying like trauma and injuries and long-term health problems without no compensation,
Right.
and no support. So parents right now in Nigeria, or even in other African countries, they're sending their parent abroad, or, telling them, yeah, you can go because it's scholarship or a job visa. They're thinking that they're going to work or study,
Right.
but they're entering one of the most lethal war zones in the world right now. Yeah, I wrote about this in an op-ed about 2 weeks ago, because then that what you just said was in fact what I wrote. That's a very question, and I think that the honest answer is both of them. You can't separate the two. On one side, there are deliberate tactics. These recruitment networks, these agents, they know exactly what they're doing. They target places with like high youth unemployment, and they are putting the offer in like, there's good pay, if you have skills, we're going to give you travel, we're going to use citizenship. They're using social media influencers, they're using people who have already gone to make it normal, and that part is intentional. But those things, just like you said, only work because of what is happening at home. Young Nigerians are working, they're going to school, and that education is not translating into work. Their efforts to go to work every day is not translating into stability. So people are now taking risks that they would not even otherwise consider. Fighting in a foreign war, even for Nigerians, the largest youth population on the continent, should be unthinkable. The fact that some young Nigerians now see it as option, tell us something painful about desperation.
Right.
That, our dignity is not available at home. So we're now being seen as useful, being paid, being able to send money home, even if the cost is extreme. And that's not a failure on the part of the youth, it's a systems failure. And at the same time, we should be careful not to frame this as young Nigerians choosing war. Many of them did not choose it. Many of them were misled. So it's both ways. It's about recruitment tactics. It's also about when a country does not offer enough pathways for its young people to feel economically visible, valued, and safe. So if we want the problem to stop, we have to do two things. First, call out the tactics, and then at home we have to rebuild trust by with opportunities and protecting our young people from exploitation.
I was going to come in there and ask you, what responsibility does the Nigerian government bear in protecting its citizens from foreign military recruitment, especially online? I mean, are Nigerian embassies, immigration systems, security agencies even tracking this phenomenon? I mean, do you know?
At this point, I'm very cautious, and at the same time, I call out the Nigerian government. I think that the Nigerian government has failed, and I think that I don't know if the Nigerian government recognizes its responsibility here, because then you first have to accept that it's happening. In 2024 or early 2025, and I know that you know this, the Nigerian Ministry of Education itself put up a flyer on its website and on social media, recruiting people to Russia, saying that, you can go there, vague offers, just like we're discussing here. And it was particularly disturbing because then this is not even coming from agents. This is coming directly from the ministry, on official channel, on official platform in Nigeria, the Ministry of Education. And later, they pulled down the flyer and said, we were hacked, or they gave one excuse or the other. So you first have to accept that this is happening, and I think that there are if you look at the pattern, even across African governments, the high-ranking officials that are colluding, with these agents to also recruit youth from their country, and I'm very sure that they are being paid. So there has to be a responsibility to first see and track the problem carefully. Right now, a lot of this recruitment is happening in gray zones, some even boldly happening on our own ministries' platforms. And if the state is not actively monitoring these spaces or even accepting that this is false, then young Nigerians are being left alone to navigate something that is deliberately designed to deceive them, and that's a gap. Secondly, there's a consular and immigration responsibility. When Nigerians leave this country under the impression that they are going for work or study and end up in military units, our embassies cannot be learning about it from the families or journalists. There has to be stronger follow-up, registration and welfare tracking for Nigerians abroad, especially in high-risk destination like Russia, like Ukraine. Families should not be left to be chasing rumors when something goes wrong. Thirdly, there's a security responsibility, like you said. The foreign military recruitment of citizens across Africa is not a labor issue, or just a labor issue. It's a national security issue, because people who are coming back from war zones are coming back with injuries, they are coming back with trauma, they are coming back with military training. Without any integration framework, you cannot integrate somebody who has gone to the front lines of the war back into the society without any framework. So ignoring that reality is risky, both for the people who are coming back and for the people who are at home.
Right.
And fourthly, and this is crucial, the government has a responsibility to protect its own credibility online, just like I said with the Ministry of Education platform. When a government website is endorsing something, the young people will trust it. And so securing those systems is part of safeguarding the youth. And there's a responsibility that goes beyond enforcement, communication. Young Nigerians need clear and repeated warning in plain language. What do this offer look like? What are the risks? What to do if you or someone is being approached, because silence will leave space for recruiters to fill. So this is about a lot more, and it's also about the Nigerian state signaling that Nigerians' life matter enough to be actively protected.